Hey there, Roster Watch Nation. It's your friendly neighborhood trash man. Here today with another rookie spotlight. Today I'm going to be talking about, I guess, could we call him the prodigal son? Um, Frank Gore Jr., son of Frank Gore Sr., one of the, I guess, arguably one of the best running backs in the history of the NFL. I mean, at least one of the most productive, most consistent. Spoke softly, carried a big stick. You didn't really hear a lot from him and out of him. So I guess he kind of got overshadowed by a lot of backs. But as far as his production goes, I mean, Frank Gore is a legend. And Frank Gore Jr. has a chance to be. So Frank Gore Jr. went to Southern Miss, a little bit less high profile of a program than the U, if you can call the program the U and you know what it is. That's a pretty high profile program. His father played at Miami, if you didn't know. But Frank Gore Jr., 5'7", 199 pounds, based off those metrics alone, he's smaller than his dad. But he still has, some special athletic traits. I guess the most obvious of those being is his cutback ability, his change of direction ability. It's pretty uncanny, his ability to change direction on a dime and get upfield quickly from that. Very elusive as a back, hard to get a handle on, which helps when you are a smaller back. He's been kind of surprisingly durable, over his 4 years at Southern Miss. I mean, and I guess his father, I guess he gets that from his father. I mean, although Gore Sr. had some injuries, and some injury scares coming into the NFL, and people thought he wouldn't be able to have a long career in the NFL, and but you see what happened there. But Frank Gore Jr. hasn't had the injuries that his father had. Not as big, but he seems to be pretty durable thus far. Excellent pass catch. We saw him at the Shrine Bowl. That's when we first got eyes on him. I hadn't heard a lot about him up to that point. I guess I did remember in 2022, the bowl game against Rice, he had an NCAA record. Rushing yards. I think he had 329 rushing yards that game. So, he had that going for him coming into the Shrine Bowl. But he was just one of these guys you saw get targeted early and often in the passing game. That's kind of where he stood out the most. And then as a ball carrier, really good ball skills. Really good between the tackles too. Wasn't a guy who just bounces it outside. As a guy who can get through the tackles, patient runner. Not super fast, but gets up to top speed quickly. Just really smooth on the field, not a power runner. Probably not somebody I profile as a 2-3 down back initially. He just doesn't have the power for it. But, we have seen smaller backs thrive in those situations in the NFL, given a shortage in, their backfield. And I really think that's probably what Gore is going to need to have happen for him to get an opportunity to be first 2 down back or bell cow back in the NFL. It's going to probably need to be in a backfield that's, suffers in a major injury or just a backfield that is not heavy on running back talent, just because he is a small guy. He doesn't look small. He's very, stout. He's built like his father in that way, but, sub 200 pounds right now. Biggest liability for Gore is going to be his blocking, pass blocking. To his, I guess, in an argument for his blocking, not really, none of the backs at the Shrine Bowl were great blockers. Blake Watson did a pretty good job. Um, Gore, there were a few missteps there in his pass blocking. Got him off balance a little bit, but you could see he could stand to improve, but you could see he can improve. I don't think it's an inability to be able to pass block. I think it's, he hasn't played really good competition there at Southern Miss, and that'll be a knock against him. My team's coming into the draft. And he hasn't really had a chance to develop a really good, pass catching skill set. I mean, pass blocking skill set. So he's got to do some work there if he's going to, play a major role in a backfield in the NFL. But I think, as far as the draft goes, the Shrine Bowl performance, he was the MVP at the Shrine Bowl. That bowl performance, he's got some steam, and then the namesake, that's going to help him a lot as far as getting eyes on him, at the combine from teams. But I don't really see him going higher than the third round at this point. But I do see a team giving it a chance. And I do see him potentially being a fantasy asset on team with his pass catching skills, with his ability to make defenders miss. I think there's definitely something there. And he had a nose for the end zone in college. I think scored, I think his highest total was 10 touchdowns in a season. It was pretty good. But there you have it on Frank Gore Jr. Not quite his father as far as, being able to break through tackles, run through people. He's more of the lightning to someone else's thunder, but I think he's got some really good skills. He's an athletic back. He's fast. He's elusive. Great pass catcher. He's got a lot going for him. So take a look, Frank Gore Jr. Tell us what you think. Anyway, this has been the Trash Man on behalf of RosterWatch.com. Until next time, be ready.